Welcome people of the internet, I am KMD, welcome to another Debbie Daylight video. In a bit of a new Code of Paint 2, as you can see I changed my channel branding. TLDR, I want to make something that's original to me, not based on an IP. And even though I still love Portal a lot, I want my brand of my channel to be a bit more original. So, meet Compact Modulation Desktop. It's a terrible name, but it works. But anyway, let's get into the topic of today's video. It's been a bit since I made my video on the state of the Dredge in 2025, and I thought that we could possibly go forward and make an update video, make some updates to my suggested changes on the character, and look back at what we have achieved for the character in the last year. So let's get into it. I would like to start us off with really talking about Dredge's map dependency in 2025 and 2026 too. With the palette density changes that came to Dead by Daylight, I would honestly say Dredge was really helped out by. They added more lockers to the maps, but it's not even the smallest thing that Dredge got in these updates. The update added a lot of filler tiles on the maps that took place of actual strong resources. Maps overall just have less stronger filler tiles and are replaced with really weak ones. Definitely a highlight of that are the new and updated maps for the Out of Heaven Record Realm, which I made a full gameplay video about, but to give you a short summary. The tiles on New Auto Haven are so good for Dredge. That realm is absolutely insane for the character right now. All the maps in the Auto Haven realm are just currently a mid to high B tier for him. They're really good. So I would say map-wise, Dredge has gotten really better this year. That, however, doesn't change the fact that his add-ons are still completely dogshit, and he is still very much reliant on his add-ons. Now, fortunately, I think we are moving towards people running the actually good add-ons over bad add-ons. You'll often still see people running the bad add-ons, but hopefully thanks to my activity on the social media and DBD community in general, people started to run way better stuff. I'm seeing people just way more interested in figuring out what you should actually run on Dredge. I got Ostara to update his add-on tier list a bit to feature automation writing on the first place. And yeah, I think like people are just noticing what they should run on Dredge instead of what they've been currently running. Another thing that I think is very important to highlight is that NA Oceanic Gambit kinda got into the mainstream this year. I was aware of the strategy before we even brought it up to odds, but I wasn't sure how to exactly execute it. At that point, as you can probably tell in my videos, I just thought, oh, it's just janky Dredge. There isn't much more than that. But when I got to talk to Void, and Void educated me on the ins and outs of the strategy, I noticed that there's so much to think about when playing in this playstyle, and this actually makes Dredge kind of a monster. So yeah, especially with the thing we did with Oz when I contacted him about it and decided to show him how the strategy works. And he even helped us out to maybe perfect it by adding, for example, Dying Light. Dying Light is very good for the strategy. And with Turn Back the Clock recently just getting out, which by the way, Turn Back the Clock is Dredge's second best slowdown at the moment. NAOCE is probably going to be the strongest way to play Dredge for a long while. Besides endgame perks, but that's just on every killer really. So yeah, NAOC is has become official this year, and it's a very much strong way to play Dredge that we discovered. Other than that, it's been a full year without Dredge changes. 8.2.0 was so long ago that we are closing year 10 and Dredge is still in a pretty questionable spot. You might be wondering why I want Dredge changes specifically. Because, well, NAOC makes him so good, so why do we want changes? Well, while yes, NAOC makes him very strong, the games last a long time, you're still hard countered by a lot of exhaustion perks. Holding W is still ridiculously strong if you know when to do it, and Dredge overall just has a lot of issues relating to just getting out-perked. So I feel like we could help Dredge out in some places, while not necessarily nerfing the killer, but instead changing some things about the game instead, because I think NAOC is in a fine spot if you add a specific caveat to it, and it is related to the freedom mechanic, which we'll talk about later. But basically, I think the freedom mechanic is a little too brittle at the moment, especially with the Wicked Beast, the Singularity. And before we get to the changes, I would also want to mention that this year we had the Cold Tower Showcase, which I faced one of the best teams in comp right now and got an average of 4 hook states, best of being 6 stages, on Cold Tower, which I think not only proved that Dredge is not a terrible killer, because as some people mentioned to me, they notice that I can end chases really quick on this character. At least I can do that, so possibly people with practice can do that too. And people just overall get more interested in learning how to play Dredge, which I am so happy about. We just noticed that our community was just getting bigger and bigger just because of that showcase. So thank you everyone who joined due to that showcase. I am very happy that you're here. But yeah, let's get to the suggested changes. I made those with Void and Agus Cannon, the other two Dredge mains that you should follow. We decided to put a doc, write in all the changes that we want, and then discuss them, and then form final thoughts to go over. So these are our changes from the three most prevalent Dredge mains in the community to behavior, to buffer killer, and change some stuff about the game. Let's begin with a modified version of my base request from a year ago. 3.8 movement speed when filling the gloaming bar, so when charging up the M2, 4.0 when filled, so when you're charging the M2 you're 3.8, but when you finish the charge and you're holding it actively, you're 4.0. We noticed through even testing on private servers that 4.0 is very strong, but might take away some counterplay from the character. So we decided, instead of making Dredge 4.0, we thought that it would be a good idea to help out the survivors by forcing Dredge to be a bit slower when setting up the Remnant, so setting the Remnant isn't free, but then he has proper survivor movement speed when it's time for a survivor to make a decision. And most of the time the survivor should be making the decision while the Dredge is actually placing the Remnant, or even before that, to know how to play against that character in a tile. So we hope that this suggestion is the best of both worlds. For the survivor side, Dredge is slower when beginning to set up, but for the Dredge players, it will be survivor speed when the bar is filled. I think that's pretty much equal for both of us, and we should probably consider that. If on PTB it will be a bit too strong, we could even make the filled movement speed 3.9, just to be a bit slower than the survivor, to make sure that the Dredge isn't too slow, but it also isn't too fast, so it's fair. The thing that we all universally agreed upon though is the cooldown change. Instead of making Ottoman writing base kit, we want to make the cooldown for the Dredge token base, like the Cannibal. So the cooldown is a total of 12 seconds, 4 seconds per token in daytime and 1 second per token in nightfall. So the nightfall cooldown is 3 seconds. And the Remnant would consume 2 tokens, so imagine the scenario. The Remnant takes 2 tokens, so the cooldown for the Remnant is 8 seconds, like with current Ottoman writing. Use your Remnant, you have 1 token left, you get the hit. Your Remnant has a 4 second cooldown because you already have 1 stack, but you can also use that stack or token to teleport to that survivor to catch up after they get their M1 speed boost. It's a neat depth increase in Dredge's kit, and it also just makes him way more fun and way more accessible in our opinion, because the Dredge, we believe that is very limited by its cooldown, and it's technically a nerf. To get the cooldown of the full power, you will be going back to the 12-second cooldown from release Dredge. And, you know, you won't be using 3 tokens when you're teleporting, you mostly will be using 2, unless you really want to find someone in its early game. We think that it might be the best to make this cooldown token base, because if we really want to stay at this global cooldown, we will be really limiting how much Dredge can use their power. There are a lot of situations in which you're desperately wanting to use your power, but you just cannot because of the long cooldown. So you think that making the Remnant take 2 tokens of your power and making the cooldown work so you can use all of the tokens at any time regardless of how many tokens you have, like Baba, would be the best way to fix Dredge's cooldown issue. And it will make Remnant spammable because it would be quite literally the same cooldown as it is right now with Ottoman writing. And after using the Remnant, the Dredge can just use the teleport to catch up a bit. And speaking of catching up, this is something that I suggested that really none of us had an issue with. None of the other Dredge mains suggested this, but they weren't against this. I think Dredge should be 25 meters per second when teleporting. And my previous opinion from last year is kinda old now. I thought and I feel like Dredge's teleport is really slow, and boat key isn't worth running to increase that movement speed because you just don't really feel it. So to make it a bit better, we made it even bigger than boat key, because boat key makes it 22 meters per second. We decided to make this 6 meters per second faster to give Dredge 25 meters per second during daytime. We think that this is one of the better ideas to make Dredge feel less slow to play. His teleport is already dependent on lockers, So we think that letting him teleport faster to like recover from not having lockers in some spots would be nice. And speaking of lockers, I think it would be very, very nice that we make lockers a killer prop. So if you don't know what killer props are, they're like Sadakos TVs or screen up doors. They're programmed to spawn near generators, basically. It's basically what killers have in the trial that a survivor can interact with. And we think that making lockers a killer item for Dredge would make it so every generator will always have a locker next to it. So that means that Dredge will never have issues with maps like Dead Suns because they will always have somewhere to use their power, you know. Let's move on to the other changes. We would like to make exiting lockers for Dredge feel better. And we found out that none of us really agree how to make this feel better for Dredge, so I went ahead and just decided to give you all of our suggestions. I personally believe that we should just decrease the durations of all animations being exiting the locked and unlocked locker, just decrease them across the board, make them a bit shorter. It would do a lot to make this killer feel a bit more powerful. Void suggested to give Dredge a Wraith-like speed boost when exiting a locker, so he would just have a bigger launch after exiting a locker, which is also a fair solution. And Goose went all in and decided to suggest that we should let Dredge launch straight out of a locker as part of the animation. So if a survivor is close to a locker, in front of it, I guess, within like lunge range of a normal M1, they will be risking taking a hit. And if the hit misses, you get a longer cooldown. I'm not too sure about this one. Talk about it with Goose, I guess. I think a very important thing to include in any changes to Dredge is accessibility. We would like to see some accessibility settings and a complete visual reorg to Nightfall to not overwhelm people. We think that it's pretty much required to implement because Dredge is one of the least accessible killers on the survivor side in terms of facing, and on killer side too, in terms of like playing, because it's just so overwhelming. So we think that this is gonna be a priority for your behavior if you want to change our killer. We all believe that Malfiker's Skull should be base kit. We decided to highlight this add-on out of all the add-ons because, well, everyone is thinking that this add-on is probably his best one. Even the mainstream thinks that it's best one. So behavior, if you don't include this change, most of the community will be probably disappointed with the changes to the Dredge. So if you want to please everyone, make this add-on base kit. I believe that Dredge should be a 24 meter turn radius killer. He's already a stealth killer, so making his turn radius 32 meters doesn't really make much sense to me. He doesn't have any power that really makes him dangerous from range, and the teleport already gives him undetectable, so that doesn't really count. So just make him 24 meters. Another change that we would like to see is allowing Dredge to teleport to the Remnant while inside of a locker, but not during a teleport. We think that it's kinda silly that the Remnant stays in place even after you begin the teleport, because you can't really use it, but it's still there. So why is it still there? So just let us use it when we are in a locker. Just let us go back to that Remnant. Making it so we can teleport to it in a locker but not during a teleport will make it so there's nothing like cancelling the teleport to not make Dredge just not punished by any mistake. If you teleport, you need to be punished by just having to wait longer to be able to teleport to that Remnant or get out of that locker. If you make a misplay, you should be punished for it. This will just make it so going back to the place you were in a bit easier without making the mistake of teleporting to a place less punishing. And if you want to use it intentionally, this is only gonna work for you when you're in the endgame. And for the final change, we all believe that Dredge should get a full add-on pass. Dredge's add-ons are historically terrible. He currently has only 4 add-ons that he can basically use without wasting add-on slot. That is Automatic Writing, which is pretty much required to play this character. You can never take this add-on off to play this character optimally. Field Recorder, very important. Nightfall in early game gives you a lot of pressure, and in endgame allows you to clutch. Hades Calendar is way too important to not mention. The amount of hits you can get with it is very much appreciated, and it's a very popular add-on too. And Malfiker's Skull, obviously the most popular add-on for the Dredge. Just make the space kit. So we think that Dredge should get a total add-on pass because besides these 4 add-ons, none of the others are going to be run. You can maybe keep around Lavalier Microphone, but that's debatable. People like it, I fucking hate it. It's up to you. But we need to change the majority of Dredge's add-ons, including some implementations to the base kit, like Fallen Shingle, Wooden Plank, Burnt Letters. All of these should be in the base kit and should get new effects. So please give us an add-on pass. We need this behavior. And to finally close this video off, let's talk about this reset regen fix. I believe that every single regression perk specifically, regression, so the perks that just are removing progress from the detonator on the damage, should decrease the gen kick limit by 1. So if you run, like for example, Painless, Pop, Turn Back the Clock, Eruption, you can only kick gens 4 times instead of 8 times, because you have 4 perks that affect regressing gens, so you're only able to kick them 4 times because every single, like, one of those perks removes 1 gen kick. You can disagree with me, but I think this is the best way to fix free gen squadrons forever. It won't affect you if you play normally, and if you free gen, your gen kick limit will be wasted faster, so superheroes can actually do the gens you're trying to defend. And that is pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really had fun making it. I hope that you liked the new channel mascot. And if you're interested for more Dredge related topics, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hype this video so more people see it, and you can go ahead and follow me on Twitch, since I stream Dredge pretty much all the time. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, Internet.